Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. In this episode of Cycling Insider, let me tell you a story. So many moons ago, one of the first road bikes I ever had a chance to ride was the Fuji aluminum road bike. And one thing that struck me in those days with Fuji bikes was that they were very light machines. And of course that old Fuji bike had a Shimano Tiagra group set and an old school, Shimano caliper brakes, but as I say, the lightness of the frame and fork was pretty astonishing for that bike. So recently I had an interesting question from a friend who said that he spotted this Fuji bike, which is SL 2.3 disc, and he said the price was extremely competitive, and again he was astonished by the lightness of the frame, so he asked me to give him his opinion. Is it worth spending approximately $3,000 on this Fuji SL 2.3 disc, or for all the people in the UK it should be something like 2.5k to 2,500 British pounds. So I had a look at this Fuji SL 2.3 disc, and I was pretty surprised, of course, with the price and the equipment that it offers. So I'm gonna give some of my thoughts and opinions and point out to a few of the things that you might want to upgrade in the future. But first thing first, a bit about the history of Fuji for all you who don't know the bike brand. So funnily enough, Fuji was established in 1899 in Japan, and of course the logo of the company and the name Fuji associates to the Fuji mountain in Japan. And you have probably noticed Fuji bikes being ridden with certain professional teams in the Grand Tours, and recently in the last few years I haven't noticed Fuji bikes on the Pro Tour level, but in the old days you could definitely see them specifically on certain teams who were riding Tour de France and Vuelta a España. So let's dive in and talk about this Fuji SL 2.3 disc, and this is, as far as I know, the 2019 model, and the current retail price is $3,000 or about 2,500 British pounds. So first thing first, the color of this bike is this satin orange, although they call it on the website satin orange. And it's an orange and black combination. I would say pretty classical combination, almost like when you have a black and red, and I personally like it. I would definitely go for it, and in person I bet that it looks even better. But what's an interesting thing is there's this SL platform for Fuji is their lightest climbing bikes, all-in racing bikes. And I remember maybe it was even last year when they presented this SL 1.1 model, which was absolutely astonishing, 700 grams frame. For in those days it was something like mind-blowing. No one else was even close to that number. Now you have other manufacturers who have managed to make their frames about 700 grams, I would say something like size 54 or 56. But let's dive into the specs of this bike and see what you can get for $3,000. So first thing first, frame. We have the Fuji's C10 high-modulus carbon, so carbon fiber frame, which is with a press fit PF30 bottom bracket. It has, it's ready for, of course, 12mm thru-axles, and you can fit 2 bottles in the triangle. Fork is again carbon fiber fork from Fuji. They call it FC440 carbon monocoque fork, and it's ready for the 12mm thru-axles again, and it has a tapered carbon steer. As far as I know, frames and forks from Fuji still have a lifetime warranty, which is absolutely brilliant. And as I always mention, from my experience, their frames and forks can be very light. So keep an eye on this one. Crankset on this bike is the Ultegra's Shimano Ultegra crankset 5236. Bottom bracket is the Praxis PF30 conversion kit. And the whole group set is the mechanical Shimano group set. So you got a front mech, shifters, and the rear mech. Everything is Shimano Ultegra mechanical 11-speed group set. Cassette on this bike is the Shimano's 105 1130 cassette. So this is definitely a point where they needed to lower the cost. That's why they included Shimano 105 cassette and not Shimano Ultegra cassette. But when you destroy this cassette and the chain, then you can easily upgrade to the Shimano Ultegra cassette or maybe even Shimano Ultegra chain, because the chain on this bike is the KMC X11. Personally, I think that KMC does perfect chains, so no problem here. Wheelset on the bike is the Fuji's own production oval concept disc wheelset, 12mm thru-axles both front and back, and with the center lock hubs. I think this is also one of the cost-cutting measures, aluminum wheelset. Reliability of these hubs I can't confirm. If anybody has any experience, please do comment below. But as always, if you destroy this wheelset after a few years of riding, you can always upgrade to something higher level, like for example a DT Swiss wheelset. Excuse me. Tires on this bike are Vittoria Zafiro Pro, and this is a 25C tire. Again, just because I like the 28C tires, they have a more air volume inside and they can soak up more of the road bumps. I wish they included 28C tires, but I understand that this is an SL, super light platform for Fuji all-in racing bike, so they included 25C tires. Braking on this bike is done by Shimano Ultegra hydraulic disc brakes, absolutely top-notch disc brakes. I'm a bit surprised that it only includes 140mm rotors front and back. That's something no for me. So I would, in the first instance, immediately change them to 160mm rotors, because these small ones are just gonna overheat, and braking modulation and power is definitely gonna be low. Moving on to the handlebars and stem, this is a classic aluminum handlebar and stem from Oval, again in-house brand of Fuji Bikes, nothing special here. And the saddle again from Oval, nothing special here. If you don't like this saddle, you can always upgrade to something better for you. Seat post on the bike is a carbon fiber seat post, 27.2mm, again a nice touch from Fuji, which will definitely help you soak up some of the road bumps. They didn't say the weight of this bike, which kind of surprises me, because I was thinking they would kind of show off with the lightness of the frame and the fork. But I would suggest, from all these components and the in-house wheel set, we are probably speaking something about 8.5 kilograms in size 56-58. So definitely not the lightest of the bikes, but I would say a competitive weight comparing to some other competitors. Always keep in mind that professional bikes can go down to 6.8 kilograms, so this is almost like 2 kilograms more than the lightest ones you can kind of get on the market. But all in all, I was super impressed with the price of $3,000 or about 2,500 British pounds, and there's absolutely no special complaints about these bikes. With time, of course, one of the first upgrades I would do is to upgrade the rotors, disc rotors on this bike to 160mm. Then probably when I destroy the chain and cassette, I would upgrade them to something like the Ultegra level cassette. And then when you destroy the wheels, I would just upgrade them slowly to something like DT Swiss wheels, and you absolutely have an amazing bike that you probably will pay less than $3,000, because, as I always say, please do negotiate with the Fuji dealers, and something about 10 to 15% discount should be realistic. So I think this is going to be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, please do subscribe and press that little bell icon so you are notified every time I make a video. And as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Pura Vida!